Hi, it's Leslie Schmidt. Today I'm going to be going over evaluation of a blood film or a blood smear. We're going to do this to differentiate our white cells. We're going to describe the morphology of our red cells and perform a platelet estimation. I have a properly prepared slide. I have a blood smear that's already prepared. This is the actual sample I'll be looking at. I did go ahead and collect a blood sample, and it is in a tube with EDTA, so it's not going to clot. And what I've done is I, placed a single drop on the slide, used another slide to smear it out, and I did obtain a good technique, and I do have a good slide to look at. I do have a nice feathered edge on the end, and that's what you want on a good blood smear. I used the DifQuick kit to go ahead and stain this, and it did properly air dry, and it's ready to be looked at. So what we'll do is we'll go to our microscope. We've got other supplies needed for this particular test. We've got immersion oil to look at it, and I also have a white cell differential counter. So I've got one of those. Alright, so we're going to go to the microscope, going to go ahead and place it up on stage. We're going to start looking at 10 on 10 power. There are 3 areas on a blood smear slide that you're going to want to find. There's the dense or body area. That's not a count area. I have the second area, which is my count area. It's called the monolayer. The cells are a little bit more spaced out and easier to see. There's just a lot more space between the cells. And then we have the feathered edge. When you get to the feathered edge, you will see a lot of clumping. You'll see what are actually look like streaks on the outside, and that tells you basically where to stop. So we want to go in between the body or dense area and the feathered edge, which is the monolayer or the counting area, excuse me. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it on, and I'm going to focus at 10. And this is just to get a focus. I'm not going to do any kind of counting here. So you'll be focusing on the cells and this power. And once you focus in at this depth, you're going to go ahead and move to 40, which I have done. Alright, so I can kind of gauge where I am. I'm up in the dense body layer, so I'm going to move down a little bit. And I want to find where I've got some good spacing between the cells. But I don't want to go out to the feathered edge yet. I'm just going to kind of look around in this less dense field, which I do have a bit more spacing here in my count area. So before we do our counts, as far as where you need to stop and perform them, come out to the edge of the feathered edge, and you're going to work your way backwards. So when you come out and you start seeing all that streaking, you need to stop and go back just a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to go up to 40 now and look around. Of course, the cells are much bigger, and you can see architecture, and you can see white cells at this stage, but we're going to actually do our count on 100 power with immersion oil. So what we'll do is we're going to go to 100. I'm going to put a drop of immersion oil, and we're going to refocus. And I'm going to find the edge of the monolayer and begin my count. And start by describing the red blood cell morphology. I've got several things going on this slide. I do notice a lot of polychromasia. There are some cells that have central pallor. There are some that don't. I do see a lot of acanthocytes. They've got a lot of different shapes in here. I see some echinocytes, some burst cells, some crenated cells, and I even see some almost teardrop shaped red blood cells. And some of those abnormal shapes can be caused by the actual smearing on the slide. I do see some platelets, not a great deal, and I do have some clumping here and there. Here we're going to go ahead and do our platelet estimation now. I'm going to count the number of platelets I see per field, and field would be obviously the view that you see in the microscope. It's just one field, and each time you move your cursor, you move the slide, that's another field. So I'm going to go ahead and keep in the same direction. I don't want to go back over and count where I've counted, so keep in the same direction, and you can change, forwards, side to side, but you just certainly don't want to zigzag all over the place. You need to keep a constant direction. So I'm just going to go ahead and do some platelet counts. And this machine does not cover counts, so I'm just going to do these by hand. Alright, we're going to go ahead and start focusing on 100. I did put the immersion oil in, and the high dry lens is down. Okay. So right now I'm going to find the edge of the monolayer, which I have found. I'm going to go back to an area of proper density. When you get to the feathered edge, there's all that clumping and there's a bunch of spaces where you don't see anything, so I need to find where I have kind of uniform coverage and begin looking. So what I'm going to do is I will count per 10 fields. I'm going to count my platelets, and then I'll find the platelet estimation. Okay, so I'm just going to make sure I have 10 fields here. I'm going to add all these numbers up, and I'm going to divide it by 10. So we're going to go ahead and add these up. Okay, so the number that I came up with was 43, so I would divide 43 by 10, which would come up to 4.3, and that's platelets per oil immersion field. Okay, now it's time to go ahead and use our differential blood cell counter to perform the white cell count. I'm going to be sweeping the whole slide until I count 100 cells. That will take some time. Okay, so I've continued counting and my cell count is almost 100. So I'm going to... Alright, and after we reach 100, we're going to go ahead and give you the percentage of the white cells that I found. Like I said, it's predominantly neutrophils. Okay. Okay, we're going to go ahead and discuss our findings. We have 5% eosinophils. We've got 2% bands, which is, those are unusual to see. We've got 62% neutrophils. We have 15% lymphocytes and 16% monocytes for a total of 100%. And so this will conclude my examination of blood smear, and I will include the records of my findings with my video. Thank you.